because last summer we were just driving like part or not driving, but we were traveling by train, so we were going like we were around the area, but
That's right. That's right. I remember you were within the area in the southwest, but you just went on by
yeah,
train. Now
yeah, yeah, yeah.
these things happen. Hello, everybody. We're live. Another My Music. I was just talking here to my friend Johan about the fact that we didn't manage when they were in the UK to meet up, but next time it will happen. It will definitely
Hopefully,
happen.
yes. Hopefully, yes.
And a Merry Christmas to you, sir, as well.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Yes. How do you say it in your land?
Hyvää joulua.
Right. Let's break this down. Hoover.
Yep.
Yeah. And what's the next bit?
Joulua.
Joulua. Wow, that
can be a bit difficult if you're not a Finnish speaking person,
isn't it? Yeah. Oh well, there you go. And what's a Hoover got to do with it?
That's a very good question, which I'm not sadly able to answer at the moment. But
well, let's find out more about.
Sorry, there seems to be some
now after this. I need to get going, Mel. I'll see you later. So has 2022 been a good year for you?
Well, I suppose so. It was this year when we talked the last time, wasn't it? But it was like half a year ago or something.
Half a year ago, yeah.
So
but the rest of the year's gone okay?
Yeah, it has. And there's been, we've been mostly like doing the record because it was quite a lot of more work than I thought it would be. But then again, now it's finished and there's still some mixing to do, but that's mostly taken up my time, actually, to be honest. So,
no, that's right. Now, listen, you, as a sort of precursor to the whole album coming out, you've released a little ditty, and the first one of those is quite different stylistically for yourselves.
It sure is. It sure is.
Was that was it one of the last things to be written or one of the first things to be written? I want to
know. That's a very good question or a good guess, I'd say, because it wasn't the last one, but it was close, maybe the second last or something.
Yeah.
There is a story to that actually, which is kind of the usual story but. We were in the studio like right at the start of recording because we started recording this thing over a year ago, which is completely unheard of with like our kind of budgets and things like that. But we were recording most of the tracks, or we had already recorded most of the drums and some bass and things like that. And then the producer was like, yeah, I know what kinds of influences you're going for and blah, blah, blah. And but there seems to be something missing. And I was like, all right, but the drums are done. We're not doing those anymore, so let's do something else. And then that kind of came about, because we wanted, at least I wanted and the producer wanted a bit of like really, really, really 80s influence for this whole thing. So that came about. I mean, it didn't come instantly. I kind of wrote that track maybe more like a basic alternative rock kind of thingy.
Yeah.
Producer originally wanted a short, maybe like a single, because quite a lot of those tracks on that album will be a bit longer. So he was kind of looking for a shorter one to make into a proper single. But then somehow it turned into what you're hearing now. So
it's a proper little pop ditty, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Which
Nobody's more
is
surprised
rather.
than I am because I had no idea it would turn out like that when we started doing it, and
Yeah.
but I'm quite happy with it actually. It's
Mm.
maybe a bit bold to do that kind of a thing if
No,
you
but
think what we've been doing before, but people seem to like it.
yeah. No, I was going to say, and looking at the artwork that you've got on the front as well, that's a little bit 80s kind of stylistic as well. It kind of harks back to that time. But it kind of reminds me of sort of some of the bands that have sort of taken the 80s kind of sound and then pulled it forward as well. People like Hadouken and people like that. What was it you were listening to that was making
Well,
you think that you wanted those influences in there?
it was mostly Genesis still, but like obviously the 80s Genesis for that, or even the 90s Genesis, things like I Can't Dance or something like that. But there's quite a lot of like Duran Duran in there and things like that. I was listening to quite a lot of like 80s proper pop at the time. And even went to see Duran Duran last summer. They came
I was
to
going to
Finland.
say this is much more kind of synth poppy type,
Yeah.
with a bit of an edge
And I
type thing.
suppose I listened to them quite a lot after the show because the show was pretty good. The weather was terrible. Weather was really, really, really horrible, but I still enjoyed it quite a lot. I hadn't seen them before at all live, and maybe that's kind of influenced it more than I realized at the time, I could say.
Yeah. Did you after writing that song and producing it in that way, did you then feel a need to go out and buy flex suits and and pass it?
In a way, in a way, yes. We were doing the video. Have you seen the video?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite funny, and we were doing it, or we were kind of brainstorming for the video, and actually we went. We didn't have like a real proper budget or anything, but we went to a couple of stores to look for like thrift stores and things like that to just see if there would be any even more ridiculous suits or something. But sadly, we didn't find any. So
Yeah.
that's the end of that. But we would have wanted to do that even more like to the point.
Well, the album cover kind of reminds me of my old bedspread when I was probably
That's pretty good.
10 or 11. The geometric designs with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bright colours when the offset against the black and the white.
Yeah, that whole theme will be like on the cover of the finished album as well. So it's kind of
Yeah, but a bleak title, The End Times. Do we believe that?
but I can't really say, but well,
Or is it the end of something?
on the bad days, maybe.
Oh, right, yeah. Or
It's
is it pointing? Is it kind of apocalyptic in that nature, or is it just kind of pointing to?
I think it was written at the time when all these horrible things like the war and other like things coming from that were really, really, really at the forefront. I mean, they still are, obviously, but the lyrics are definitely had been influenced by that. But then I still tried to. I definitely tried to make it into a upbeat thing in the end, anyway. So even if it's like, yeah, it might be the end times, but we still try to have fun and things like that. So it's kind of it's not meant to be taken as seriously as a lot of my lyrics usually might be. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so it's not so much Avenged Sevenfold. It's more sort of
Yeah,
Prince
yeah.
1999.
Prince is one good thing, one good comparison as well. I really love Prince. I've liked it like for a long time, and I didn't think about Prince a lot with that song, but obviously it could be said that it's got some influence on that as well.
Yeah,
Especially Vesa's guitar solos and things like that. Those might be like basic Prince things.
yeah. No, absolutely. Just give people a little taster, really, of what else to expect on the album. So we've got this synth poppy song on there, but what else? You know, stylistically, I've heard a little bit extra as well
Yeah,
from the EP.
the single we released it over a half year ago because honestly, I thought that the album would be coming out this year, but for reasons it didn't. And that single, "Burning Wish," will be on there as well. And then it will be. Let's say that's the End Times. It will be quite a proggy album, maybe more so than the last one we did, or our first album. But let's say it's going to be not overly long songs, but on the same vein as "Burning Wish" mostly.
Yeah.
And but there's going to be quite different sounds on there because there's like a there's a kind of story there musically and lyrically, and it's maybe a bit more abstract than I would have wished it to be originally, but that's another conversation altogether. And the End Times will fit in the, if you listen to the album as a whole, it will fit. It's a bit like, I remember a couple of years ago when Pearl Jam did their kind of comeback album. I don't know if it's a comeback album, but they sure like were doing it for a long time. And the first single out of that was "Dance of the Clairvoyants," and that sounded really, really weird when it came out. It was that everybody was like, I liked it, but everybody was like, "Is this like Pearl Jam? What the hell is this?"
Yeah, and how's that going to fit into
Yeah, and when you
album?
listen to the album, it fits completely seamlessly there. You don't even notice that it's a bit strange compared to the other stuff. And I'm not saying that the End Times will fit as seamlessly as that song did, but it will definitely be more comfortable in between the other tracks there. So
what you're saying is there's sort of textures and you know, maybe some sounds and some themes and whatever that will carry it through, so that it will actually slot.
Yeah, definitely. And there's going to be quite a lot of more keyboards and synths on the album as a whole than we have had before. So that kind of also ties it up to that. The End Times will be the only one. Oh, no, it won't actually. No, I'm lying. I was about to say that it will be the only one with programmed drums, but actually there's some tracks which have like live and programmed drums there as well. So,
which is actually quite common these days.
Yeah,
within prog rock. I mean, I remember, you know, when Marillion started introducing sort of programmed drums in. I mean, it's actually quite nice for a drummer in a way to be able to sit in that rhythm and allow the song to be carried with maybe a heartbeat or something else.
It is. It's quite relaxing, let's say.
Yeah, but also you can build you can build things like suspense with that as well, because, you know, as you bring in live drums over the top of a sequence track, it can build the track, and you can build the tension within it. So,
and that whole track, "The End Times," that was kind of built from scratch in a way by me and the producer Rauli, pretty much, because we just had my like guitar thing originally, which was completely played in a completely different style and all that, and then all of a sudden Rauli kind of took the beats out of nowhere. He was clowning around with some old, like actually Prince and Phil Collins drum samples, and kind of messing about with it. And then at some point I was like, yeah, that's what it's gonna be, you know. And then we reworked the whole guitar thing, and then he played quite a lot of keyboards there. He played, I think, actually all of the keyboards on the track.
Well, and there's another reason, I guess, why drummers, as they get older, etc., you know, choose to use a little bit of programmable drums. It gives you a wee break.
Yeah,
in the middle of a set.
That's a good point.
I can start this song, and I can still be backstage. and then I can come in 5 minutes in. There we go. So, there's always a reason. It's the same with DJs. Don't worry. It's the same
Oh
with
yeah, that's
DJs.
true.
You
That's
know,
true.
I used to love shows where I could play prog rock on radio. The worst ones of all, worst programs that I used to do were like sort of 1920s music where everything's on vinyl still. I used to still play it on vinyl. And I'm not saying that vinyl's a bad thing, folks. I love vinyl. But it was like queuing up old vinyl, 78s quite often as well, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you put them in, and the song would only last for a minute,
Like 2 minutes or something.
or 2 minutes, yeah. So as soon as you queued that one up, you literally queued the other one up, and it was literally sort of like say something, and then it's like, oh, got to start the next one, and then got to queue that one up again, and it's constant, right?
Yeah, it's really hectic. It's really
So you can imagine the relief, especially overnight when you're doing like overnight radio stuff, where where it's like,
then you can put on like 15-minute songs.
I'm going to now play side one of Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
I'll be back after I've been and had coffee, and a wee, and maybe even a curry.
Yeah. I used to, like 15 or almost 20 years ago, I used to sporadically do DJing at some clubs in Helsinki. So I kind of used that as an excuse sometime as well.
It was always fun. I enjoy both areas of DJing. So in terms of the time scale for this finally reaching itself as an album, what are you looking at for that? Yeah.
We hope to be completely done with the mixing like at the start of January, so in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Cool.
And then I need to sort out the mastering schedule because it's still mastered by Mark Gardner, but he's gonna have some touring also with Ride. So I need
He's
to
on tour at the moment, isn't he? With the
no, they just finished one tour, but they're going to the States sometime early next year. So I hopefully need to master that album before they do that, because they're going to be there for a month or so. So that if I can't do that, then that will push it again further.
Yeah, he's a busy boy, isn't he? How did you meet him?
Originally, I mean. Oh, that was a kind of strange story, actually. I was watching, it was during the pandemic, at the early stages of the pandemic, and people were still doing, this live shows over YouTube or over some service. Like you can buy a ticket to a live show and then,
Yeah.
And I watched a Ride show sometime there. I didn't know any of those people, but then I heard the drummer Loz during the show. They were talking to one another, and he mentioned something about Sibelius, which is the famous Finnish composer. And then I was listening to, didn't you say Sibelius? And I didn't know what the context was or what he was talking about. But then I just went to Twitter, and I just kind of as a joke, well, not as a joke, but kind of just for fun, I tweeted him or them, I can't remember which account it was, but did you just talk something about Sibelius? I'm interested because I like his music a lot and all that. And he answered, and we actually got into quite a long chat about that. And I even made him some playlists about like some Sibelius stuff I didn't know. And somehow through that, I noticed that Mark is doing other stuff besides just playing in the Ride, like producing and recording and mastering, and he's got a studio and all that. And it kind of somehow I just started thinking I've always wanted, because the music we do is so British in so many ways, that I've always wanted that there would be somebody in the loop, working with it who would actually be British. So that seemed like a kind of logical choice. I had listened to Ride for most of my life. Well, not my life, but since I was a teenager. And even if our music sounds nothing like them, I was still thinking that he might be good at what he's doing, and he turned out that he was.
Yeah.
And
And do you think that I mean it's a good story, that, and do you feel that there's although, as you say, your music's very different, do you feel that there was a common sensibility there in terms of
I do. He actually liked our music a lot. He instantly took a liking to the first album we did, hit Death of the Universe, and he was actually, I was kind of like, I didn't know if it was true or not because he was really like, oh, this is so incredible. And yeah, we clicked on some level instantly. And I had the pleasure of meeting him actually last summer when I was in England, when we were almost meeting as well.
Yep.
And I spent a couple of days with him, and he was a really nice chap and really nice guy, really lovely guy. And I'm I can't say anything more as of now yet, but I think that there might be something more with him in the future. I mean, he might be recording our stuff, or he might be producing our stuff, or he might be doing something like that. But that's somewhere in the future. But we, especially when we met like face to face and sat down for a couple of pints during a couple of days and like talk about a lot of things. It's really seemed that we might have something going on. So I'm really keen on working with him on a
maybe a
more
quasi
serious level.
maybe a quasi classical piece?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if you
yeah,
if you bonded over that kind of music,
yeah,
you know, who knows?
yeah,
Who knows? With a bit of 80s thrown in.
yeah, yeah. But I'm really looking forward to
Yeah.
working with him more in the future. So, but that was really nice.
Yeah. What are you most looking forward to next year, other than getting the album out and potentially working with Mark Gardner? What is there?
Uh,
Is there something you're most looking forward to in
yeah, now we
2023?
finally got a working live band. That's been in the making also
Oh,
pretty
fantastic.
much since the pandemic because there's been all sorts of problems and we've had some problems with getting a live drummer because obviously, well, not obviously, but I'm not one to even think about singing and playing those songs live with the drums at the same time because I play the drums on the record. And we've had bits of a problem getting like a stable, not one like a live drummer who can do more than one show or who can show up in rehearsals or something. We've had some great guys who, in theory, could have done that, but they live somewhere else or they're busy with some other projects or whatnot, and it's always been a bit of a hassle. And right now, we finally have a guy who at least seems to have fun and
Yeah.
seems to be enjoying himself with us, and we've been practicing, and it's been great fun. And I'm really looking forward to playing. Finally, like start playing some proper shows with the proper band, because we've been doing only a couple of like semi-acoustic, whatever kind of shows. So now I'm really looking forward. That's like the main agenda. Obviously, with a new record, of course, but the
Well,
main agenda for me.
I'm looking forward to seeing you sometime in
Yeah,
2023. I hope you come over here and we'll play over here.
I'm pretty sure that we can because we've got loads of contacts there,
Yeah.
and even I've been playing there with some of my previous bands. Well, actually
Well,
in Scotland, but in the UK anyway. And
you actually almost sounded Scottish when you said Scotland, then, which was
that's nice. Well, I'm
Scottish.
Finnish, so I'm
Oh,
almost Scottish.
it's almost Scottish, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
But
Well, and
and now,
I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm really looking forward to you coming out midway through the performance to do the new song in your 80s gear as
oh
well.
yeah.
I think
Obviously,
there should be
we have to have like a wardrobe.
little costume change,
Yeah, wardrobe
midway through,
changing. Yeah, and that would
yeah,
be actually a great idea.
wouldn't it? It would be
But
fun.
regarding that, I'm getting probably more contacts as well because I am drumming in another band as well. That's like a metal, gothic, doom metal whatever it is, and that's mostly like just a drumming gig. I like playing in that, but there's some of my old mates there, but we're coming to England in a couple of months with
Oh,
that band. We're playing London and Bournemouth and two other places, but in March. So that trip's definitely also going to be something to like. I can get some useful things from that for Pennies by the Pound as well.
yeah. Make some new contacts maybe,
Yeah, yeah,
and lay the groundwork. Well, look, it sounds like 2023 is going to be a really good year for Pennies
yeah.
by
I
the
hope
Pound.
so, definitely.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. I thought it was fabulous. The new single.
Thank you very much.
I thought, oh wow, I'm dancing to this. So, which
Well,
was like,
that's us nowadays.
there you go. Oh, look at us these days. Not only are we sort of prog rock, you can dance to us as well. There you go. And that's always a great thing when people are experimenting with music
Yeah,
and not being scared to kind of push the genres, if you like, which
yeah,
I
and I'm
think is
not being scared.
important.
I remember, I think it was with you at some point, at some interview that I talked about, might be someone else, but that's we're not really scared to be a bit ridiculous as well. So it's kind of that's if you don't take obviously we're making serious kind of music, but if you don't take yourself too seriously, then it's gonna be all good because then you have the freedom of doing whatever you want in the end.
And I think it's important for when you start sort of entertaining the live stage as well, because I think people like to go and see a band who they feel have got a sense of fun about them, even if they have got a serious catalogue that with songs
Definitely.
that can potentially make them, emotionally charged or even cry or whatever. But that sense of fun is important as well. It's kind of a relief from the tension as well that's
Yeah,
potentially there in the music as well. So I think letting your spirited side out as well is important from time to time. Yeah,
definitely. And you can when I go to watch a show or when I play a show, I try to because the connection between the audience and the performers is so important. And
yeah,
that connection is so much easier to make if there's not like this wall of seriousness or like there's not like this we're supposed to look like this and we're supposed to do this and do that and whatnot. So, if it's more like human, I could say, then it's
yeah.
easier to reach out to that whole thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, Johan, it's been an absolute pleasure seeing you again. Look
Same
after
here, same
yourself.
here.
Have a great Christmas and New Year. And I will see you again in 2023. 2023.
Yeah,
What is going on in this
I
world?
have no idea, but hey, Merry Christmas to you
Yeah,
as well and Happy New Year, and
Merry,
always a pleasure to talk to you.
absolutely. Until next time, when we'll be another guest talking about their music. This has been Johan from Pennies by the Pound. Do check out their music, download it, go to Bandcamp, etc., and download, pay money, support them, and look out for them in 2023 coming over to a place near you to play.
Definitely.
Until then, bye for now.
Until then, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.